Yes. Good morning. Welcome to Sunday School. Let's pray. Let's ask God's blessing this morning. Roman, if you could ask God to bless this time, please. Amen. Okay. An alarming amount of people are not here this morning. Alarming. Um, so um, these ministry classes I'm registering in my brain. Okay, this is really important to be here. So thank you for coming. Thank you for being on time. There's obviously emergencies, things happen. I live in a real world. That's where communication needs to come into play. And also communication comes into play, let's say you're already late, or it's 1 minute before, and you say, oh, hey, Pastor, I'm running late. Well, it's obvious, right? You know, thank you, at least, for letting me know. That way we can plan, but that kind of makes other people jump through hoops, right? If we have to replace your job, right? So, these are just common sense. Today, the theme will be common sense. Today's lesson it's all common sense. Okay, so emergencies happen. Just let me know. Let me know. It's part of accountability. It's a part of being responsible to the team. It's respect. You wouldn't, if you wanted to keep your job, you wouldn't just, hey, I'm late. Your problem. Cool. No problem with that. But it would be hard for me, let's talk common sense, it would be hard for me to say, wow, this guy, I could really move up to a higher level or higher responsibility in the church. Agreed? So if it's always late or not responsible or not communicating, you're telling me that's the level that you want to stay at. That's the accountability level that you want. And that's fine. Everybody's at a certain level. I don't expect everybody to be at the highest level. But what I do want is people to grow, but I also want you to understand that you determine your level. Not me. See, I'm a facilitator. I'm facilitating your calling. That's all I'm doing. I'm holding you to the fire where you said, hey, I want to be a missionary one day. Or I want to do this. Or there's some people that will communicate, I just want to come to church and be left alone. Fine. Absolutely no problem. I don't look down on those people. I don't say, oh man, you're not in ministry, you're not rising up, so you're of less value. Absolutely not. Do we need help? Yes. Do I think that we need pressure and to understand why we need? Yes. But you determine your level of responsibility. Okay. So today is just pure common sense today. Okay. I think we determined last week that the motive needs to be love. Jesus didn't come to be served. He came to serve. He came to give his life to people. Okay, and I really think that ministry is that point where you say, all right, I'm going to use my talent, my ability. I'm going to assume a job in the church to serve other people. Whatever it is for the team to get that ball in the net, count on me. If it's administration, if it's behind the scenes, if it's watching the kids, if it's music, if it's to be in front of people, right? I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do it with a right heart and a good motive. So I think motive of love is the ultimate ingredient. Paul said it, without love, we have nothing, okay? At any point, you can raise your hand. Please feel free to have a comment or a question. Yes?
What if different people have my example of love doesn't match another person's example of love?
Mm-hmm, sure.
And it could be like, oh, this guy doesn't love me, but in my mind, I'm like, bro, I'll give you all the love I got.
Cool. Good. So you bring up an important point. There was a famous book years ago, the love language, 5 love languages, right? And everybody's trying to match. And if you're trying to love someone in a certain language, it would be like speaking, and they don't speak that language, it'd be like speaking French to a German person. They don't understand. So we understand their love language. That's one thing. Okay, and that applies to a lot of areas of life, Joe. Okay, so empathy, am going to figure out what their love language is. Jesus served the disciples before he told them to go die for him. He loved them. He served them, okay? That's one, okay? But number two, perception is reality. Okay? You can tell your wife, oh, I love you, right? But if she doesn't, and we could mean it. We could be very, very sincere. We really do. But the perception is not, because another person could be tainted. Another person could not have received bad love in the past. Our job, true love, is to figure out how to help that person. Okay, so you bring up a great point, and that's a whole study in itself. How to love people, how to love hard, difficult people, how to love wounded people, how to win the love of people. I can tell you all day long that I love you, but I have to show you that I love you through my actions and me serving you and serving your destiny. And so that's why pastor takeovers are always difficult, because you're like, what's his motive for my life? Is it positive or not? And then that's the same level as a visitor comes. Do these people love me, or are they on drugs? Why are they being so nice to me? Why? Last night I heard it over and over and over from these visitors. They thought, what is going on in this little circle of lights? Seriously, there was nothing but the atmosphere of love and family and community, and it has its place. There is a place to street preach with a bullhorn. There's another time just to love people, have them come in and show them a place where they can fit in and be part of the church. And so it was excellent last night. I didn't even sleep well. I was just thinking how excited I was for what happened last night. So how many would agree with this statement? The lower the standard, today's on standards, the lower the standard, the lower the quality. In general, most things. I don't think that anybody would disagree in general with that. There's high standard cars. There's race cars. The Formula One car. My goodness, has anybody ever studied the Formula One car? Alex, every ounce is precision to the highest possible standard, and it just doesn't stop. They're just always this Formula One car, and it's a very high standard because it's going to demand high performance. It's not a Toyota Corolla. Right? If you want a Toyota Corolla, that's your prerogative. That's what you want. That's the lower standard. If you want, the Formula One car to do a certain thing, then you're going to have to raise the standard. You can't lower the standards and expect high performance. So that's just a general concept today of ministry and ministry standards. Okay, okay. So we're going to come back to that, but here's the why that it needs to be common sense today. You have to understand the why, okay, in order to do the what and how to do it. What can happen, in my experience, is, especially, we've been in church for a while, we know what to do and we know how to do it, but we don't know why we're actually doing it. Result is burnout. Result is legalism. Okay? If I know what to do and I know how to do it, I can play the game. Right? I can go around, the standards because I don't really understand why they're in place, and still say, hey, I'm within ministry standards. And that what that does is that breeds legalism. So it's just following rules in the potter's house and not really understanding why. When it should be absolutely, totally reverse. Once you get the why, the what's like, No duh. In fact, the what is kind of even lower than the standard of the why. So let me give you an example. Okay. Everybody has a job. And I want to use this illustration in ministry as a job. You have a job, right? And that job has some standards, right? Some of your jobs would affect the lives of people, correct? Cybersecurity, that affects my life. I want you to be good. I want you to be thorough. I want my pilots to be well trained, right? We're going to talk a couple other examples. You work in a building, and if those pipes burst, like that, remember the time that meter that burst? And if that would have gotten overlooked or somebody just said, nah, it'll be okay, people could have got hurt. Yeah, and lives could have been damaged. So it's just such common sense. But our job in church is dealing with, lives, okay? So I went straight to the dictionary. This is just so practical, make your head spin. I just went to the dictionary. There's a regular dictionary. I just look up standard. And it says a level of quality or attainment. Then they give the little sentence, so you'd understand the word in the sentence. He says, their restaurant offers a high standard of service. The ambition to raise standards in schools is widely shared. You lower the standards in school, lower the test requirements, and what happens to the children? Their standard of education goes down. It's just common. It's so common sense that this subject, there's no way you could fight me on it. By the time we're done, there's no way you could say, wow, these standards are too high or whatever, or I don't agree or whatever. Okay, fine. But think. A required or agreed level of quality. Okay, I'm agreeing. If I want this job, I'm agreeing to these standards. Okay? So it's agreed, it's a standard, and this line is my attempt to say that higher the standards, higher the quality, lower the standards, lower the quality. And there's a time and place for each one of those, lower quality and lower standards. I just happen to think that we have such a huge responsibility with people in their lives, okay? All right, so you got to understand the why, okay? Now, we're going to talk about this real quick, and we'll have a little bit of discussion here. The letter of the law versus the spirit of the law. Okay? What is the letter of the law versus the spirit of the law to your interpretation or your way of seeing it? Cherise? Okay? Good. Okay, good. Meaning behind the law. Awesome. Keep that right there. Khalif. Is what? Letter of the law. Blind compliance. Yep. Raise the standard too by raising the question. So here, the letter law could be lower than what actually helps. So if you just followed the letter of the law, okay, awesome. What else? Yes. Mm-hmm. Awesome. Mm-hmm. And that is why there is a political debate, and it's also very healthy. And then you have you have Supreme Court judges that interpret the law different ways, and they're processing it, and some process it through, common sense, and that's what these senators and congressmen are trying to do. Is they say the original purpose of the forefathers was this, and we're seeing the result of it. Okay, very good. Anybody else? James? Okay.
And the problem is when I
Through the letter of the law. That is this meeting this morning. That is this meeting right now. Okay, I can tell you, here are the standards to be in ministry. Boom, 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 boom. But that's almost not fair. To just write them out and say, all right, this is what I'm going to do. I need to explain it. And I imagine you're talking about your job. Or what?
I'm talking about anything.
Okay.
One of the things
Uh-huh.
but they're missing the intent.
Good. Awesome. So I got a scripture here for a minute. Well, let's go now. Let's go now. Let's go. Go ahead and read it, James.
Matthew 5:27.
There's so many examples of this. We don't have time to go through all of them. You can, in your Bible study and your reading time, you can think, oh, letter of the law versus intent of the law. It was the letter of the law that drove Jesus crazy with the Pharisees. You know, they're only count so many steps and all these rules and regulations, but they're fraudulent because they found loopholes. So the Pharisee would say, hey, I ain't sleep with nobody's wife. But you're full of lust. So you have used the letter of the law. Hey, pastor, I'm not watching TV. That's the rule. But you're watching TikTok, which is 100 times worse. But you're not watching TV. See, he's nailing them. He's like, you just check out all these women. But you're not an adulterer. It's so hypocritical. It breeds this back in the day when I was a new convert, the Potter's house, the door, they're so strict, and there's just rules and rules and rules. And I grew up in a church where we did understand the why. It wasn't just Pastor Fancy coming in, just rules, rules, rules. I was like, okay, yeah, I just feel like it's just a higher standard, right? So Jesus has a higher standard, harder than not having sex with your neighbor's wife. It's higher. Now they'll all say, whoa. In fact, intent of the law is actually harder than the letter of the law. Okay, anybody have any other example in the Bible? Don't murder. He says, don't murder. I ain't murdering anybody. But what was the intent of the law? Anger, hate is like you're murdering their reputation, you're murdering the relationship, you're murdering that person in other people's eyes. So he says the intent of the law, do not murder, was to preserve life in every way, shape, and form, not just their physical life. Hey, I'm not a murderer. Yeah, but you're a gossip. You're gossiping in our church, and you're murdering people. You can't gossip about people in your church and think that you're not murdering their reputation in front of other people. So he's like, wow, that standard is so much higher, okay? And remember, this is all common sense. All common sense, okay? So, letter law. Any last comments or thoughts on letter versus the spirit of the law? Yeah. Right. Correct. Yeah, so we could say that the letter is don't lie, but the intent is don't mislead someone to believe something that's not true. Right? That would be the intent of the law. That would be the pure part. This is why it's so difficult to understand that, or not difficult, but it's hard to swallow that God sees the intents of our heart. Not just our action. I mean, he knows the intent of the heart. There was a hand back here. Cleve? Yeah. Yep. Yeah, great point. Yes. Yes. Which is love. I am not going to defile my eyes because I love the new convert that's coming here this morning. Not because, oh, Pastor Gunkel, here we go. Here we go. I knew this was coming. He's going to go over all the rules because he's so strict and he's just so hard. And he's just going to have all these rules for us. And you know, some pastors are liberal and some are, and you know, he's just going to be really hard. And here it comes. I just got to get rid of all my fun. Like, what? What? No, not at all. We got to raise the standard because we just love people. And if we can understand and grasp this, we're really, really going to excel in our church and our quality of life and the converts and the quality, our character, the disciples that we produce. Roman? That's good. Awesome. What you've done, it's who you are doing this, or like they want to know what. Okay. I would say I love you, but it's like that is it. Because the stakes are so high, Roman. We really want to know what your character is. Do you love God? Do you love people? Are you, why do you want to just live as close as you can to the line and say, I'm still a Christian? I was in the shower and I have my notes there and I wrote. I couldn't stop writing, and I'll show you one day. But I was like, I thought this. Why is it that we're always looking for the minimum that we can do to be saved, minimum we can do to be in ministry, instead of what is our maximum potential? Why is it the human nature just to go right to the line as close as possible when we should be totally going in the other direction? It's a great thought. It's a great thought, yes. Okay, you're on to something, yes.
It's also a posture of your heart, like how,
Yeah.
like you were talking about ministry standard, right? And you determine what level you're at.
Correct.
And ministry standard, but that's the same thing with God.
Mm-hmm.
With a relationship.
Good.
Most of us.
Why?
Like you're like God. It's too hard.
Great.
I have to work hard. I want to work hard.
Why would people feel the pressure of the pastor to be at a certain level? I believe that that's the fault of every pastor. That my dignity and value as a pastor comes by how many people are in ministry and rising up. So I would put pressure and guilt people into not doing it because of my insecurity. Where the correct approach is, one, I care about you. I care about your eyes. I care about your soul. I care about your life, right? And you'd have to feel that. But I have to meet you on your level. But that, and just one step ahead, just to push. So to expect you, this is what happens sometimes to church kids, especially pastors' kids. They are expected to live at a certain level that they're not at, and they actually go in the opposite direction. I can never amount. I could never be good enough. Everybody expects me. Church kids, maybe even some people in ministry. See what I'm saying? If you don't understand the intent of the law, this thing gets really crazy. It gets really crazy. So great, man, this is awesome. So this is Dr. Philip Semmelweis. Anybody know who he is? He was a Hungarian doctor, 18-something. So infant mortality in England, 1 out of 6 babies died. 1 out of 6 died. Dr. Semmelweis was trying to figure out why. At that time, doctors did everything. They worked in the morgue, they saw patients, and they delivered babies. So they did it all at that time. They would work in the morgue on a dead body and then go immediately for an emergency call and deliver a baby with dirty hands. So the babies died. He's like, remember this is on common sense. Now the story gets even more intriguing. And some of my friends, pastor friends that are watching this are going to steal this illustration. But it goes on beyond what you think. He said, let's try some. Let's just wash our hands. And his staff, we're going to wash our hands. Just wash our hands, no gloves. We're just going to wash our hands. The infant mortality rate went from 1 out of 6 to 1 out of 50 overnight, just by having clean hands. That illustration is easy enough to understand. The illustration is that we can't have dirty hands outside of church come and try to deliver babies in the church. No wonder they're dying. Well, because we're contaminated. We were watching something on TV last night that is contaminating people. And you say, Pastor, I don't know why I kill everybody. I mean, they just come out stillborn all the time. All stillborn. There could be sin in the camp. Right? So it's like, just wash your hands. Come to church clean. Isn't this interesting? Before you went into the holy place, right? What was there? The water basin. They're washing their hands. It's amazing. And feet, actually. We'll talk about this in this coming Sunday school. I can't wait. Washing hands. They had the place where they wash their feet too, because they're trafficking in cow manure all day. And they're not going to God's not going to allow them to bring what they're trafficking into God's house. Okay, you can't just stroll into God's house after you just strolled through a bunch of manure. How can you stroll through in your brain manure and then come and lift your hands and worship and touch people and touch the people of God? It stinks. Literally. I'm full of puns. Yes, Sylvie?
It reminded me of Aaron.
Uh-huh. Correct.
Lighting a.
Right.
But they, and then
Could be. Mm-hmm.
they lit it in
I like the thought of the intoxication. Now I'm going to have to look that up because I don't remember that scripture. But think about this. Intoxicated means you're not thinking straight. Okay? And so if you're not thinking straight, you can think, okay, I'm okay with God coming in because no one knows, pastor doesn't know, and I'm not watching TV. And it's like you're drunk. You're drunk. You're on drugs. Right? And and his sons burnt incense, impure incense, the wrong ingredients. They did whatever they want, and God killed them. It's interesting. Roman? Of course. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Sure. Sure. great. Man, this is the type of ministry meeting we have to have. This is it right now. What you're feeling, the Spirit of God that you're feeling, and these revelations, and these understanding would solve all of the ideas. Okay? Oh, so for the illustration part you don't know. Dr. Semmelweis was on point. Everybody would agree. Well, guess what he did? No. Well, yeah, he went to other hospitals and he started preaching his message. But listen to his message. Y'all are idiots. Y'all don't wash your hands? You're stupid. Well, man's pride. They were like, hey, back off. We're doctors. We're educated. Right? They shunned him. They isolated him. They marginalized him. They called him crazy and a nutcase. And his message didn't get propagated, and more babies died. See, Dr. Semmelweis didn't teach the why. He just told them what to do, and if you don't do it, you're wrong. That will create animosity. I can't believe you'd watch. I can't believe you do that. I can't believe you do that. Hey, buddy, who do you think you are? And you're going to marginalize the pastor. You're going to marginalize people, and it breeds this contempt. He committed suicide. They just totally, and he lost all the message. So it was years and years later they realized, washing hands, oh yeah, this guy's right. Just the way he presented it was wrong. So we as ministers have to present it in a way that people understand and say, listen, you know what? They've been used to this way for a long time. You've been watching TV for a long time. I can't come in and say, no more TV, you're an idiot if you have a TV in your house. That would be suicide. Get it? It won't work. Today is moving the ship 1 degree, 2 degrees, 3 degrees. Not stopping the ship and turning it around. I'll go crazy. Yes? Yep. 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 Consecrate yourself for tomorrow. We're going to hear from the Lord. Yeah, it's all over. You're going to see it all over. Clean hands. Natalie? Yes. Yeah. Culture of the church. Awesome. Okay. Good. Right. Watch this, Natalie. Watch what you just said. This is the Ritz-Carlton. The Ritz-Carlton they have on in, I think, Tyson Square. They have Tyson Circle or Tyson's whatever it's called. Tyson's Corner. They have one in D.C. They have this was, I think this one's in Orlando. And what's interesting about, I read a book on this, and it's called The Gold Standard. It was really, really good because they train their employees at a very, very high standard, but they teach them the why all through there. And actually, they give their employees $200 credit per guest to take care of any needs. So if they're walking in the hallway and they see a guest coming, they greet him by name, and they say, oh, you know what, I forgot to dry clean my suit. She goes, no, I'll take care of it. Well, how much do I know? They have $200 that they can do this, and they just train every employee to be empowered and to love and to help and everything. And if you go on their website, there's I forget what it's called. It's like their own university where they're just training the people on how to treat guests and how to dress properly for an image. You know, you know what a tie means? A tie means I'm a servant. I'm serving you. I'm dressing different in God's house because I am serving you, okay? I was in the airport a few weeks ago, and we're at the counter, just normal workers, and they had their normal worker shirt on, right? And they're helping people, whatever. And then a guy came up with a jacket on. And I'm like, this is a supervisor. And then a few months ago or whatever, I saw a guy come with a suit on. No, this guy's, right? How you dress, okay, teaches people what you want to say to them, okay? We come into God's house because we want to show him, right? We could talk about that in a minute, but the point is, the intent is, this place is different than the world, okay? Now, that's the Ritz. Okay, that's Motel 6. $53.99 will get you possibly bed bugs. I don't know. So you tell me. You tell me what kind of church you want to be. You tell me what kind of Christian you want to be. It's so simple. If I want to stay in luxurious, I know I have to pay more. I have no problem with that. I don't expect to go in here and have Ritz-Carlton service. What kind of church do we want to be? Okay, these are Navy SEALs. Now, the reason I bring up Navy SEALs, they go through 9 months of buds, I think it is. Is it 9 months of buds? One of them is called Hell Week, not to minimalize hell, because it's not even comparable. They call it Hell Week. Not even a fraction of hell, by the way. Never minimalize the word hell. Never. Anyway, they call it Hell Week. It's 5 days no sleep, or 2 hours of sleep, whatever. Now, the reason they go through this training, and then after the 9 months, it's like 2 more years of training in their field, and guns and weapons and communications, all kinds of this. It's because they're going to be called to operations at a high standard. Get it? So the higher the operation or the mission, the more higher standard you'd have to be trained to be tested and proven and taught. Okay? These guys will do high-speed operations. They'll swim underwater in the dark for miles at a time to get to a ship underwater with this the tank that shows no air bubbles. It's crazy, whatever. But dark with just this what do you call the lights, the red light state, whatever, chem light under the water and red and I mean, it's freaky stuff. I don't even like to put my feet in the water at night on the ocean, man, because something's coming to get me. But anyway, that higher standard for higher mission. Okay? Our mission is to send missionaries, and they be successful. To send out pastors, and they be successful. We're not going to lower the standards and risk lives for those type of missions. Now, if we want to be a status quo church and we want to just, survive in our little, group of 60 people and just see each other until Jesus comes back, that could be the desire of most people. But it's not me, and it's not the majority of people in this room. This is why perhaps some people don't come back to church. They're not dumb. This dude's preaching on the cross. This dude's preaching on commitment and outreach. And there's a church right down the road that doesn't deal with any of that. I don't look down on that person. They just don't want that level of accountability and standard in their life. So we won't, organically, we won't just be a mega church overnight, because I preach against sin. We preach on tithing, and we preach on, standards for ministry. Well, what the heck? Who are you guys? So people will write things online that we're some kind of cult. That's not true. That's not true. In fact, are there cult-like behaviors that pastors have performed in the past? Yes, and I apologize for that. Where they dominate people and they manipulate people. And they may have given a bad name in the past. But I'm here to set the record straight. No, it's just kind of like Navy SEAL level. That's all. Don't tell us Don't blame us. We want to lift the standard a little. And we understand that that's not going to encompass everyone. Do we have room for people that have it? Do we have room for people that don't? Yes, of course. And I'll be the first to show you and me that anybody that comes in our church that walks through this, I will treat them with the same amount of respect and love. Okay? That's really important to understand. And no, we don't look down on people that don't want to hold up those standards. We love them and help them. Now, when you sin and you don't repent, that's another subject. I'm just talking about general standards, a higher standard of a church. Bernice?
I'm going back to my corporate mindset and the government, a lot of things, but a lot of departments and different things like that.
Okay.
And I just think a lot of that.
So, what's the name of next week's study? Do I have to give out more Starbucks cards? It's called Count the Cost. So you, next week, have to determine, do I want that or not? Okay, cool. No problem one way or the other. Roman, real quick. We got 3 minutes. Yeah.
It's all volunteer.
Right. It's ringing the bell.
Ringing the bell.
Yeah.
You have to state that.
Yes.
And not only that,
Right. Yeah, it's good.
keep coming.
It's good.
Even though you're going to fall,
Right.
but it's because of their
Okay, so, right. I don't even want to talk. I'm sending men out in the field to go pioneer. That applies. Okay, let me more common sense. So much common sense will make your head spin. This is a soccer team. Just quick picture, men's soccer team. If you want to join a team, any team, what would be your questions and what would be the coach's questions? Your questions would be, okay, rec team, any team. You want to join an organized team. What would your questions be? When are practices and when are game days? When are games? Common sense. And the coach says, well, you know, we're travel and we're gonna go places. Okay? Practice every day from this time to this time. Games are this time and this time. You're gonna have to move your family to this place and do this. No, thank you. Right? Nope, that's not really what I'm looking for. I just want to lose some weight. I want to join this team. Oh, listen, we have practice once a week, and we have a game once a week, and if you want to come, come. That's my kind of team, right? Lower standards. Right? Just depending on what you want. Okay, you want to join ministry team. What would be the natural question? When are practices and when are games? The coach would tell you, okay, for this ministry, the practices are there this time, and this time during the week, okay? And game days are Sunday morning, Sunday night, and Wednesday. And in order to be on this team, you got to be in the games because we're going to count on you. You're the goalie. And the goalie's not here, the ball goes in the net. If the goalie's not here, I gotta do a position player to play goalie, and our standard goes down, right? It's so common sense. If you want to be in ministry, why would you not want to be at a game? Like, I joined because I want to be in the game. I want to score some goals. Did you know I played soccer for 4 months? I did. No one would pass to me. Easy to know why. So my strength was I was a runner. And I would outrun these kids. I would run up and back. And there's no offsides in this rec league. I would run and I would wait by the goal. And they still wouldn't pass to me. So then one day a guy's dribbling down. He's being blocked. He's double teamed. And I could see it in his eyes. He's got the ball and he looks at me. He's like, oh no. Oh no. And he kicked it over. I didn't even stop the ball. Boom, I scored a goal. Anyway. I want to score goals. I want to be. Why would you not want to be here this morning to see what God's going to do? Why would you not want to be a part of what God's doing? And why would you not? Why would you not go on outreach? Because the whole purpose is to get visitors to come here. It's like, I have to be on outreach to be in ministry. No, you get to be. That's the beauty. I outreach like so much. I just want people to be here. I can't wait to see what God's going to do. You get it? It's the spirit of the law, not the letter of the law. All right, tell me the requirements that I can meet the minimum requirements to be in ministry. It's I want to be here. I want to be here and just see what God's going to do. Does everybody want to be on a team? No, not necessarily. Last one, real quick. This is in Bangladesh in 2020. 16, 17, 18, 19, 2020, something, right around there, not long ago, okay? Bangladesh. Guess what they said? They did an investigation. Guess why this happened? Over 1,000 people died in this building collapse. It was a factory. They built it on a pond, okay? They remodeled it as a factory, and they put a bunch of equipment in there that was super, super, super heavy. Okay? And they said the number one reason why this building collapsed and all these people died, they used substandard material. I thought, Lord Jesus, if we use substandard material to build our church, it's going to collapse one day. We just overlook and, well, yeah, just come on in ministry. Why not? We need somebody. You're building with substandard material. We might get big. We might expand to 200 and 300 people because we lowered the standards so much. But you know what? Sin. Boom, it all comes down. Why don't we build with higher standard material, slower and better? Common sense. Let me ask you a question. This is your surgeon. And he's about to open you up. Do you want him to be a surgeon of high standards or low standards? Then quit being a hypocrite. See what I'm saying? Now, I'm being facetious. I'm not saying you are a hypocrite. What I'm saying is, how can we expect our doctors and our lawyers and our politicians to be this really high standard in life to serve us, but yet we don't expect that of ourselves to serve other people? It's hypocrisy. It's complete hypocrisy. So I want my doctor to be highly qualified. I found this, and we're going a little long. Sorry, this has to be said. This is so cool. This is new to me. This is new. I've never taught this. I've never thought of this. Look at this. Standards. Falling in love with something or someone, a person or something, then building a structure of behavior around it for moments when love falters. Watch this. It's an anchor deeper than our fleeting emotions. I want to do it, but that wears off. All commitment to ministry wears off. The newness wears off, and then it's work. This fleeting emotions. When we fall in love, when we get married, the first 3 months is called a honeymoon because it's sweet for just a temporary period of time. But then commitment. And then when you have these crazy desires, these structures hold you in place for when your desires go crazy. See, standards aren't in place for rules and you got to follow rules. They're there to protect you for when you are weak. This should change total idea of ministry. Dearly beloved, we're gathered here today to unite this man and this woman in holy matrimony. And they're not listening to a word he's saying. Just can't wait. Can't wait, right? And he goes, okay, we got to say some vows. I promise to be faithful to you. I promise that I will love you in sickness and in health, good times and bad. See, these are commitments. These are a structure around something that you love for the days when you are sick of him. When you are tempted to stray, I made a vow. I made a vow of ministry before my God and my pastor and my team that I'm going to live clean and live right, that I'm not going to have this and I'm not going to look at this. It's not the rules. It's not the regulations. It is the intent. And I hope that helped you this morning. We'll start church in 8 minutes. God bless. Sorry. 8 minutes to drink coffee. Sorry.